Hello, I am Jennifer McDonel, Associate Professor of Music and Director of Music Education at Radford University, United States. In this presentation, I will discuss the work and music education research I have been doing in Nepal since 2016. From the initial 2017 study, we had learned the following. Learning-focused pedagogy and children-specific strategies were catalysts for pedagogical change in the music teachers. The pedagogical change, in turn, increased student engagement in music classes, which brought joy to students, teachers, parents, and administrators, and in turn resulted in increases in music teacher pay and respect for their work. Awareness of these positive changes brought about a hunger to learn more. Current research literature about Nepal is focused in three general areas: healthcare, infrastructure, and general education. Literature on music education and music teacher education in Nepal is virtually non-existent. Thus, a need exists to learn more. The purpose of this study was to gain insight into the state of music education in Nepal, its past, present, and potential future directions, and, in the process, continue studying the impact of professional development on music teachers' perceived self-efficacy and students' music learning that began in 2016 and 2017. Currently, in Nepal, there is severe inequity between students who attend private schools and children who are underprivileged or orphaned that must attend government schools. The Music Arts Society in Kathmandu, Nepal aims to provide quality music education to all children and free music education to children who are impoverished. To do this, Music Arts Society aims high to train future music teachers, build quality music education curricula for Nepal, over time reach every child in Nepal with music education, and build a sense of national spirit through music. Music Arts Society's long-term goal is to build a music school in Kathmandu that would house college-level music teacher training and potentially university-level training in music education. In this study, the narrative inquiry method outlined by Cresswell was used to frame the design. Here, Nepali music teachers told their stories of what they know about the historical uses of music in Nepal, the current state of music education, and their experiences implementing applications of Gordon's music learning theory from previous workshops I had given in 2016 and 2017. Music learning theory is a framework for how we learn when we learn music, based on the research of Dr. Edwin E. Gordon. Dr. Gordon is internationally known for development of music aptitude tests. From his work in music aptitude, he became interested in how we learn music, how music aptitude influences music learning, and how music instruction can be differentiated for individual student needs. The main research questions of the study were: 1. What are the roles and significance of music in Nepal? And 2. What impact have the 2016 and 2017 trainings in music learning theory and its applications had on music teaching and learning in Nepal? Interview questions were developed around these main questions. Again, historical uses of music were of interest, as they may impact current and future music education practices in Nepal. Also of interest was to determine if the tenets of music learning theory could be used effectively in an Eastern music culture. This was of interest because music learning theory was developed for teaching Western music, so it is important that, if used for Nepali or other Eastern music teaching, it is not simply imposing a Western idea on Eastern music. And finally, to understand teachers' perceived self-efficacy and their students' music achievement after implementing workshop ideas. The initial population for the study was 19 music teachers who attended the 2016 Music Arts Society workshops. From this population, a sample of convenience was used in data collection. 12 of the original 19 attendees returned for the 2017 workshops. All agreed to participate in the research. Additional longitudinal data was collected from 8 of those 12 who attended the 2016, 2017, and 2019 workshops. Participant interviews were digitally recorded. Student researchers wrote field notes to triangulate data. Hypertranscribe and HyperResearch software were used in transcribing and coding interview recordings and field text. After transcribing interviews, the primary researcher and student researchers used the process of restorying, as described by Cresswell, to develop a meta-story from the field texts and interviews, which involved coding and analyzing data for emergent themes, incorporating context from background literature into the themes, collaborating with participants to negotiate field text and do member checking, reviewing data for confirming and disconfirming evidence, and triangulation among researchers to validate data, themes, and metastory. 3 main themes emerged from the data. 1. Historical and cultural significance of music in Nepal. 2. Teaching methods and pedagogy. And 3. Perceptions of music education. Historically, music in Nepal has been tied to religious worship, festivals, ceremonies, and as entertainment for rulers. There are many different cultures represented in Nepal, each with their own festivals and traditions that include music and instruments. In fact, the Hindu goddess Saraswati is typically pictured with a veena, a traditional Eastern classical stringed instrument. The importance of music historically has been somewhat dependent on the rulers of the times. Eastern classical music typically was limited to performances at royal palaces where classical musicians from different countries were hired to perform programs. There was no access to classical music for common people, thus, folk music was popular in society. Historically, certain tribes or castes of people in Nepal were known for specific musics. For example, the Gandharva are a people of Nepal who play sarangi, another traditional Nepali stringed instrument. One participant commented, "Gandharva means the people who play sarangi." During festivals, each cultural community performed on their own traditional instruments. Various bamboo flutes, reed instruments, sarangi, madals, and other drums, and other percussion instruments are very common. Dafa is an oral music tradition of worshiping God with 2 choruses of singers, accompanied by traditional instruments, such as the dime drum. The concept is that one group asks a question, the other replies. In the middle between the 2 groups, God is said to be there in that performance. No one may walk in that middle space. Part of the belief is that, by worshiping God, humans receive music. Students could enter into Dafa by learning to sing or play instruments. The guru would teach through oral tradition, and students would imitate to learn. One participant noted, "Music has played an important role in tutoring people, like in religious festivals and puja. Puja means what we offer to God, and it's a kind of traditional song called bhajan that's always there in Nepal." In terms of secular music, Gaine were wandering singers who traveled across the country, singing folk songs and playing sarangi to entertain people in public places. However, society did not consider them as professional musicians because they traveled and begged for money. In recent history, within the past 50 years, Nepali King Mahindra put high emphasis on music, encouraging Nepali musicians to write music for the country and instituting FM radio in Nepal. Through exposure to musics from around the world, the music of Nepal expanded through the influence of Western music. From Western pop music, Nepali pop music also emerged. A participant mentioned, "Generally Nepali musics are influenced by Eastern music. Before 3 or 4 decades, But now, Western music is overtaking. Most of the teenagers and young people like Western music nowadays. Further, there has been an increasing interest in combining Eastern and Western musics in various ways. Today, many Nepali musicians enjoy experimenting with East-West music fusions. As music has become more commercialized in Nepal, there is a movement to preserve traditional Nepali music through music education. A participant said, "Actually, university is very good. They generally emphasize on the research and promotion of cultural music and how to make the cultural music popular." As recently as 2019, the Nepali government published a suggested repertoire of Nepali folk songs for students in grade 5 and beyond. However, implementation to date has been very limited. One participant said, "In context of Nepal, 90% teachers I think, are not following this. This is very sad for Nepali musicians or teachers that we don't have any curriculum from government." Currently, although students may pursue teaching or music at the college and university levels, music education is not offered in higher education institutions in Nepal. A participant noted, "There are various courses offered. Firstly, there is instrument, then the choir group, and they also have subjects like ethnomusicology." Another stated, "Some of the private conservatories out there provide, the diploma courses for music teachers. They're learning mostly about music, not how to teach, but in Nepal, not how much education you took matters, but experience matters." In other words, many music teachers are hired based on their ability to perform, not necessarily how well they teach. A participant mentioned, "Few people are academical in Nepal. Only few teachers are getting academical qualifications. I heard that by after taking 3 or 4 month course in any institute, they were a teacher. Suppose if they play some course in guitar, they are guitar teacher. That's not good." The participants in the workshops found the trainings in music learning theory-based practices very useful because they had never been taught developmentally appropriate pedagogy for music. Further, participants shared their belief that the tenets of music learning theory are applicable to teaching music to children in Nepal. One teacher said it would be, quote, "very easy to apply these techniques to teaching Eastern music." Another participant said, "When you are not here, and when we didn't get any training from you, so I think I was not a very good teacher." Another participant encouraged, "It's very helpful, I think. We have to continue it. These trainings are very important." Another teacher stated, "So we are trying to do this kind of work also, like whatever the songs you have taught us, right? So now we are thinking to compose in Nepali, because you have had lots of these kind of songs to do with the kids, but we don't have. So now my plan is there." Frustrations about implementing techniques centered around not having enough time per class or days in the week to offer music classes. Some other frustrations expressed included a difference of values with administrators, who at times seem more interested in impressing parents with performances than understanding the value of a developmentally appropriate music curriculum. One participant noted, "One or two schools I can't apply the things because their demand is very different. So sometimes, we are bounded with these kind of things also. So I want to do, and they said, 'No, sir, because we have to focus to program. So don't waste your time by doing this and that thing.' So this is very silly." And I said, "No, sir, this is a part of our program. If we put these things in our program, so your parents will be very happy." He say, "No, sir, let's go with songs, and we do the regular." "Okay, no problem." So it happens also. Traditionally, because musicians were considered lower castes in Nepal, parents did not support children to learn music. It was considered a poor future to have a career in music in Nepalese culture. Today, this perception has begun to change. In Nepal in the 1980s and 90s, drug culture became very prevalent. parents began to view music as a positive outlet for children to keep them from becoming pulled into the drug culture. One participant described it this way: I mean, drugs. Most of the young children, they are affected by these things. And that time, most of the parents, they realize, like, if my child goes to music, so at least he won't go to that part, right? So they bought guitars or keyboards for them and engaged them to music. Some of the parents, they asked me to do some work with their children because they already, affected by drugs. So I think this come, and I think that education a little bit better. I think it's been like, in my opinion, 4 or 5 years, but music is everywhere. Most of the people, they want to engage their children to music. Additionally, with access to the internet and increased media attention on pop music stars, talented musicians stand the chance to make a good living as performers. For some, this has changed the perception of studying music. One participant said, "These days, the reality shows come to Nepal also, like Voice of Nepal and Nepal Idol. And that also gives some boost to the young children or the young people to say, okay, I also want to participate." So they're more like attracted to music because there is name and fame is there, although they don't all get the title, right? But once they go to television, mostly what happened, like if he's from Joppa, then they say, oh, he's from Joppa, he's from Joppa. Still, some parents are not supportive of their children pursuing music or music education, steering their children to more lucrative professions such as medicine or engineering. Further, there is lack of gender equality for women in professions in Nepal. Culturally, women often stay in the home to care for their families. Traditionally, girls have been discouraged from going to school or finding employment outside the home, especially after marriage. A participant shared this about his frustration over this situation. A girl even wants to study music here, and she come to me and say, "Sir, please help me to find out the colleges. Where are they? I want to go to music lessons now." Because she finished her high school and now she is going to bachelor degree. And actually her interest to study music, she wants to become more like a music educator. And after that, I find out some colleges which has helped her too, And at least she can come to Music Arts Society and I can at least pay her some money, right? So at least she can help her parents. And after that she came to me and was very sad. "Sir, my parents, they are not agreeing." So that was really very sad in my eye. However, changes in girls' education also have been noted. One participant expressed, "But nowadays it's changing because now some of the parents are a little bit educated, so they feel that no, because girls are equal, because they have to train accordingly." So now a little bit it's going on. I think maybe the next generation will be like that. Most participants felt that educating parents about the value of music education is necessary to change perceptions about students studying music or to become music teachers. In terms of teaching music in schools, participants expressed need to impress the value of music education upon administrators. Moreover, there seems to be little support from the government to provide music education for all students in Nepal. One participant expressed a vision for changing these perceptions and practices. "Yeah, government don't care about music education. That's the main thing. Like if they apply in public schools, so they have to hire teachers, So they don't hire. And they don't put that also because private schools, they are doing themselves. Actually, we should train the principals so that they manage the classes properly and train teachers. They are teaching music and sustaining life in Nepal's children. If we make them understand the value of music education, they have one organization, and all principals they come, they vote. And what happened? They have a power. So they can force government to put these things to the public schools also. So that's why it is very important to bring principals here." Taking into account limitations such as sample of convenience, potential literature, researcher, and participant bias, study themes shed light on the research questions of the study. First, Nepal is rich in music tradition, both vocal and instrumental. Old caste-based conceptions of musician as occupation are slowly being dismantled, and parents are becoming convinced of the value of music education in a well-rounded education. Parents who can afford private schools may expect music and other arts in the extended school curriculum. School administrators may not understand the benefits of high-quality pedagogy from trained music educators. Pressure for performances often makes it difficult for music teachers to fully implement the research-based instructional practices presented in the music learning theory-based workshops. However, some administrators have taken notice of students' increased engagement and enjoyment in music classes due to improved teaching practices. In those cases, music teachers have noted positive changes, such as increased salary and more academic freedom. With more directed advocacy on the benefits of music education, directed toward parents, administrators, and the government, these music teachers envision that music education in Nepal will continue to improve. Further, it appears that the tenets of music learning theory are applicable to teaching Nepali folk songs to children. Additional research in this area will provide further insights. Finally, participants continue to hunger for more training on music teaching and learning. They believe that through education, they can become better teachers and advocates for music education for all children in Nepal. Selected references are included here. I would like to acknowledge the hard work and dedication of the students who have participated in this research. In 2016-17, Ms. Charlotte Hargest and Mr. James Nugent were members of the student research team. In 2018-19, Mr. Brian Dowd, Ms. Lauren Milburn, and Mr. Taylor Oots assisted in the research process. My son, Grant McDonel, also traveled with us as a high school student for the amazing experience. Feel free to contact me at my Radford University email or phone number with questions. Thank you so much for attending my presentation.